So this is the last panel before lunch, and they saved the best for last. So, all of us know about the unstoppable rise of e-commerce, but I think the story that's less told between some dark headlines is the enduring romance and allure of the bricks and mortar store. And so the question is, what does the store mean in 2017, and how has that changed? And here to provide definitive and on-the-record answers are Julie Wainwright, who's the founder and chief executive of the RealReal, and Rodrigo Bazan, who's the CEO of Browne. So it's especially interesting having you two as panelists because you both seem to be something of unicorns. You're executives who are unafraid of e-commerce and at the same time have this deep understanding that bricks and mortar retail still have a place in luxury. Rodrigo, Browne now has 28 stores, including 15 that open in 18 months. Mm-hmm. The brand has also entered into a partnership with Farfetch. And the RealReal, Julie, hosted its first pop-up store in Soho in December and will be opening a permanent space in the neighborhood as well.
We just did.
You just did? Okay.
Thursday.
I live in the neighborhood. I should go check it out. So both of you have talked extensively about how in order to justify its own existence, a store must these days be an experience. And what does that mean to each of you, and how do your stores provide this elusive experience? Julie,
well,
you get to go
yeah,
first.
I'll go first.
Okay.
Look, if you just objectively walk in most stores right now, and if you then did a video, or if you had a video from the 90s, they really haven't changed much, but the consumers have changed quite a bit. And when we think of an experience, it is reinforcing what our brand stands for. Mm-hmm. So that comes down to holding classes on how you authenticate a Birkin, on how you buy fine jewelry that retains its value. It comes down to servicing a client with small and big things. We're adding tailoring, we're doing classes. But it even, for us, includes providing a space for people to enjoy the environment. So we are going to have a cafe. We're going to have, eventually we'll have a cafe. And we'll have wine and whiskey served at night. So, but it's a combination of education, product, and then a little bit of just comfort. And hopefully it'll be engaging in the community. We had a small sample of that during our pop-up in New York, and it was so widely received mm-hmm. and enthusiastically received that we thought, okay, that we're on to something.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you talked about the customer coming in and seeing the wall of Birkins.
They did. They went crazy when they saw that. We have already had one sort of interesting story because they expected Birkins to be there, and now people want to see the Birkins. Yeah. And someone sent their assistant because she had a Birkin craving before she left on a long journey to buy a Birkin as fast as she could. The other thing for experience for us, and this is really important, she had seen it online. Uh-huh. Everything in the store is also online, so we don't have artificial boundaries. And she called to say, is it in the store? We said, yes, it is. And she could buy it before she left.
She could buy it right away.
Right.
And Rodrigo, what about you?
I guess the question you were asking is about the flagship and e-commerce. If you define the flagship as one of the best assets you have in your company organization, the online is one of your flagships. So we don't think anymore about doing stores or online. We have to do both successfully. We want to do both successfully. We can do both successfully. As you mentioned, we opened 15 stores in 18 months. Mm-hmm. Only one of them, we also relaunched the site completely, new technology and new design, slight redesign. Out of 15 stores, only one of them has 5,000 square feet. It's actually the reopening of the New York store with the men's and women's experience. The second one that touches 2,000 square feet in Shanghai. It's mm-hmm. fantastic. It's on the street. Has a great facade on the street. Has a great women's and men's rooms. But the other stores are all below 1,500 square feet. Mm. So we love this idea of creating this luxury experience, this flagship experience in any sort of size that we could afford to do. And if you take a look at what you have to create for that, we thought about the design. This was largely Thom pushing the boundaries to design the stores exceptionally well, build them extremely well, and bring design pieces or furniture that's outstanding. The smaller the store was, like Milan or London, we had the highest caliber of vintage furniture pieces. Now, the experience has to be really well created in the environment. The staffing is extremely well trained, and we look for staff that are looking for business, not waiting for business to come into the store. So hospitality will love that sort of mindset. The third element is service. We care for the packaging, the way we cater to the client from the store, even to the online, to be implementing personal notes also that, and the level of packaging you put there. The only real limitation that we found is that how much stock can you carry? How big is the selection of stock, of merchandise, and how big is the stock level of that store? So at the same time that we were selecting these properties, and some of them were great opportunities. A store in Milan right next to the Four Seasons was a great opportunity, and it was small, 1,500 square feet. We were discussing with Farfetch, which our technology partner, to implement their future technologies for retail. So we are launching soon in February a shop for app. With that shop for app, we can cater basically all the stock available, all the stock points that we have in the US, in Europe, or Asia. And funny enough, we never got a comment from those stores. I think people said about Milan, it feels amazing. It feels really special, beautiful experience, very clear, focused point of view, but you're missing something. You only have the classics at the beginning. We didn't have fashion. We have shirts, but we didn't have the right shirts. So with this, we feel that we will complete the experience. And the focus will not be so much on a stress sales associate trying to sell you something which is hanging there. It's going to be aiming to connect with you, to make sure that we tell you what we do for a living. Handheld device, we show you everything we have globally available, which is a very large selection of stock. And we make a transaction on the spot in the shop frame. We can ship it anywhere in the world you're going to be. So this also opened up this technology, the way that we buy for stores. It's not anymore about buying for online purely or for the stores. And this is a discussion we had with Thom in the showroom. Our showroom is large. The pre-collections are, simply because of the way Thom and the design team works, it's very consistent. So we keep on building on great sellers. And he even said to me, do we need to represent all this online? Are you going to sell all this? Not really, but if we don't aim to represent it ourselves, we might only have one rail of all, we might have 40 rails of product. Only one of them might be available in a multi-brand. Beautiful multi-brand stores, but only one of them. A shop in a department store of ours, a concession, maybe 3 rails. Even our flagship stores might have 5 rails. So right now, the mindset is how we look at everything we need to represent from the collection point of view. The stories in the collection, the classics, the bestsellers, the commercial elements of the collection, everything is available online, and the stores have a much more focused merchandising and offering.
I want to ask you, because before you were at Thom Browne, you were at Alexander Wang, which of course has a very young audience. And we hear a lot about how millennials don't go into stores anymore. And yet you opened 27 Alexander Wang stores. Did you learn anything from that experience that disproves what we think about millennials and in-store shopping that you applied to opening stores at Thom Browne?
When we saw what happened at Alexander Wang over 5.5 years I was there was a great communication with a certain audience. Digital helped that brand become very, very, very well known and very successful. Funny enough, in the stores, we were catering to different audiences, to different age groups. So we were not. We were excited when we were selling to true consumers of luxury goods are 40 years plus in Japan, 50 years plus, and 60 years plus. So we like to have a clear point of view, but at the same time cater all of them. And interesting enough, it's quite similar here at Thom Browne. We're not focused. Tom's view has always been to create beautiful design. So beautiful made, beautiful designed product, timeless, and we go cross-functional, cross-country, cross-gender, and cross-generation. So we're not too focused on that. But yes, we see an amazing amount of millennials in stores.
Julie, I mean, I use the RealReal. It's incredibly successful. Why did you feel that you needed to have a storefront? And when people come in, you said that everything is available in real time. Do you know what the split is between who's actually buying in store versus are they coming to look and to feel and to touch and then they're buying online?
So limited data here, but the reason we made a commitment to a store, and it's the first of many, is that our customers, well, let me back up. We, in case people don't understand what we do, we are a resale business. We're about $500 million this year in GMV. We're 6 years old. And part of our secret sauce, and it's not really a secret sauce, is that we added trust to the equation for the buyer by authenticating every item. I think I have now 35 gemologists on staff too, and watchmakers, and art curators. So we actually do stand behind every product we sell, and we have brand authenticators. And we do work with brands if there's a product that we can't quite authenticate. So we really hang our hat on offering real goods for people in the resale market and high-end goods, because that way we can add the services behind it. That is harder to convey sometimes online, even though we think we do an okay job of it. But when we bring our experts forward in the brick and mortar store, which is what we did in the test, we had the gemologist in front of the jewelry, not a salesperson. We had our brand authenticators and fashion experts talking about why you buy them, the difference in pricing in Birkins, for example. And we had an orologist on site. It actually illuminated the brand for people. And that's how our Soho store is staffed. It's staffed with experts. It also is staffed with people that really want to service people, too. The other thing is, in dealing with the luxury goods and the fact that we're resale, people could see our standards for acceptance.
Right.
So you can't self-post on our site. We take possession of goods, and we inspect them, et cetera, do all the artwork, all the photography, all the editorial, the pricing, everything. And when you walk in the store, it sort of takes your breath away, the quality of the goods you're looking at. Again, harder to convey online and to differentiate yourself versus other people. So I would say it's a brand building opportunity, and it's also an opportunity for people to learn more about what they should sell or keep. And again, we can't reach that many people, but word of mouth does travel.
And now that you've discussed before how you've had, $200,000 in one online sale, is there any category of things that you think is not going to ever be as effective to sell online as in a store?
No. I mean, there's price points. I would say now we sell things up to, we have sold $200,000 very quickly, which was a little unnerving.
Yeah.
But I would say now up to 100,000 is regular for us. And what's happening is people, when you stand for something like we do with the experts behind it, people can talk to someone before they transact with that amount of money, and they can also return it. So it depends on how you service the customer, and I think you can go very high-end online.
For both of you, what other brands or companies do you think in the luxury space have done a very good job marrying, an in-store experience with an e-commerce experience, and why?
I'm going to say not as many as should be, and I'll tell you, it's a real shame, because they have, these barriers between what's online and what's in store are ridiculous. No one shops that way. Personally, I shop all the time, and I won't go into a store because I'm like, it's too much of a pain in the ass, to be honest. And so
what part of it?
Everything. You walk in there, they don't have your size. They can order it, but I don't want it ordered. If it was ordered, I walked in the store. They don't have the color, this, that, and so it becomes, or my favorite, which is just a complete brain dead solution. You order it online for pickup in the store because you're running errands, you're going to be by that store, and then you get a notice it'll be available in 4 days. Right after you've ordered, when it says it's in that store, and you're just like, well, then I'm never going to pick it up. And then I'm going to have to have the store send it to me because I did it because I was going to be in in that area. And so I would say everyone's struggling with it. I think luxury in particular has been very slow to adopt it and do it in a really great way. And I would say for me, it's more the online sort of, as you will, brand aggregators like a Farfetch or a Matches or a Net-a-Porter that have done a better job of embracing the brands and supporting the in-store experience. Now, part of it, which is something you're going to have to watch out for, part of it is when you go with a platform like Yuke's or you go with Farfetch, you are limited to what that platform can offer you. And they're always going to try to find the most common data set, which means that the integration with brick and mortar and online is always hard. And we have all of our technology in-house, and it's a hard thing to do seamlessly. Because you're knitting together solutions that haven't ever been forethought to be knitted together.
Right, right. And Rodrigo, what's your partnership with Farfetch been like? I mean,
going back to your question,
yes,
I think the one example I have, I've spoken a lot to the team is Browne's. Browne's in the store in London.
It
was fascinating to talk to the sales staff, one of the ladies on the floor that's been working with the new technologies, because that store, you can see their eyes. The store is up 65% this year. The fact that they have pickup in store just opens up. If somebody comes to pick up something, you can clientele with them, you can sell them something, you can take something straight back. They don't still have that technology. They will be launching later on this year, but they train themselves to engage directly with the tablet. So they will put straight away the email into that. It will show you everything available on the device. And funny enough, people are very happy to go back 1 day later, 2 days later to try something, provided they can return it straight away. If they don't like it, no problem. So that would be one example.
Right.
The platform, I think you know much more than me in technology, so I hugely respect that. I'm very happy to say that we have basically no base of technology. We don't have an IT person in the company. And that was a blessing, because we couldn't have transformed the company into a digital focus if we had had IT, big legacy systems, or people that had very fixed ideas on e-commerce. So we thought at the beginning, this is the moment to do e-commerce right. We may want to spend the money to do a technology and so on. And we figured it was going to be 2 years' worth of research and execution, difficult to ship to 190 countries, difficult to make sure that we had also a focus on the experience, on the product, on the communication. So we decided to partner with Farfetch. We found them very, very hungry to have one brand that is very happy to work with them on Black and White, which is a technology for our website, which we manage, we control, we decide everything. Their platform, the marketplace, and also Store of the Future, which we are happy to test new technologies. And we pretty much said, we really want the shop floor up. We don't need RFID today, or we don't need a mirror that communicates with you.
Right.
So that's the partnership. And honestly, we spend a lot of time at their offices. I feel that we learn so much by going there 1, 2 days, and we clearly come back with ideas, because it's fascinating how, I think what we do for a living in a brand, we are in a tunnel all the time, repeating ourselves, and that's one of the lessons from Mr. De Sole was you have to have a clear vision, you have to repeat it every day, but it becomes very monotonous. So to go back to a tech environment and think with them is really fascinating.
You know, we all know that department stores are struggling, and the question is, I mean, Julie, do you think there's a way for them to turn that narrative around?
Oh, sure. I just don't think they have it yet. So at the end of the day, I mean, look, to run around boutique, that's also not quite the right way. But a lot of them have overbuilt. The sizes are too big. The selection isn't online, offline.
Yeah.
The stores still look like they did a long time ago. Yeah. Or in the case of something like Macy's, it's still way too crowded. I mean, it's just you walk in there and you're like, my whole body starts shaking. Sure there is. I just think they're going to be small. The problem is every single one of them has different financial challenges. Macy's public, they've got to figure out what they're going to do. Neiman's is over leveraged. Saks, I mean, everyone has their own issue, but the truth is there is room for department stores. There's certainly room for quality service that services multiple luxury brands. And they're really going to have to reinvent themselves, and it's hard to do within the financial constraints.
Yeah. I want to we're going to leave room for some questions, but I just have one more question for both of you, which is that, you know, both of you are active in different ways in China right now. And of course, in China, one of the big problems is authenticity and making sure something's authentic. Julie, the question for you is, do you plan to move into that space with the store? And Rodrigo, the question for you is, you know, you have a quite large flagship in Shanghai. Does the consumer there want or expect something different than they do in Europe or the States? So Rodrigo, we'll start with you.
I don't think so. I think we saw in the first week of trading of that store outstanding sales from luggage to tailoring to fur pieces to women's show pieces. So we came back with our team from China fascinated. I think the technology advances, what digital is doing today, maybe because you have no fear to monopoly, no fear to give data, it's fascinating. You have 1 billion people in WeChat. So no, don't see something different.
Yeah.
So right now it's not on our 2-year horizon. I can tell you online about once a month there's a RealReal Chinese site. and sometimes I'm the CEO, sometimes I'm not. But my team is all in it, and so we're spending a lot of time right now shutting those down. But at some point we will be there. It'll be an international brand.
Great. Do we have any questions for our panelists? Anyone? I think there's someone right there.
Hi, Jennifer Deason from Sotheby's. And Julie, you mentioned data, and I'm just curious, as digitally native business, how do you think about the use of data and using data as a strategic advantage?
Oh my gosh, we have so much data. So let me just say that I can let you know what brands are on the decline based on resale value falling. We're a phenomenal barometer, most of the time before the brands know it themselves because they're too far removed from the business. So on that sense, we're an indicator of the future, and it's the near future, usually within 9 months. The other thing is we understand quite a bit about our customer. So even when we're building out the store, the New York store plus the pop-up plus the data, we could merchandise it to meet the customer faster than anyone else. But I would say the real value is I can tell you right now what my cohorts are trending, what my AOV is, where I have issues in brands, where I have supply issues. I can spend on my phone, go up and give you real-time data that is predictive of potentially a trend, which means I can correct everything within my own business well, let alone understand where my customer's trending. And then I can go back. I have a sales team that goes to people's homes to collect goods, along with experts in the back. I can then fine-tune how my people, if I need more Thom Browne, I can suggest to someone whether, oh, Thom Browne is the hot product. Do you have any Thom Browne? Now's the time to sell it. You know, so we can use that data, or we can say to someone, Valentino, which we did about 18 months ago to people, Valentino studs are on their way out. If you want to maximize your value, now's the time to sell those things. So we become very, very specific advisors to maximize the value of luxury goods.
Great. Anyone else?
Simon Burstein, you said to me last night, value trumps service. And I think I'd like to just add one thing about that. Because your experience about going around these stores and not finding what you want points to me that maybe what's going to make these brick and mortar stores exist, develop, is in fact being able to give you the service. And I don't really think that the price is the deciding factor.
So here's where you're not seeing it, Mr. Simon. Here's the deal, and this was the context of the conversation. Context was when a new system opens and they're selling the same products. So, like I look at Net-a-Porter matches 24/7. 24/7's products, when I looked at it, were $400 priced more than matches, and maybe $200 more than Net-a-Porter. And at the end of the day, I'm going to shop for that Givenchy dress at same dress through matches and get it cheaper. And but now, if they can't ship it to me on time, service is a component. But what's happened is you can't work in a silo anymore because the world, especially for brands, the data's out there. People are always going to choose value over service as long as it's authentic, and they believe that the underlying merchant will do what they say, which means take my money and provide my goods. And so that's the context of the conversation. And the reason I don't like going to the stores is because I'll see something online, they don't have my size, or they've just run out, or they're, or whatever. And so you run around, and it's not a good use of anyone's time, versus if you have an online store where you can get your size, and then you order, or maybe you're not sure, you're between a what size and a what size, so you order both, you send one back. I've just saved so much time and energy, and I may shop at that retailer again, but I won't walk into that store unless I know they have some reason to get me in that store. But I would say that value will trump service when the goods can be bought across multiple channels and the service is no longer a key differentiation.
Well, I know there's more questions, and you can continue to do the debate with Julie and Rodrigo at lunch. And make sure to be back here at 1:40 for Vanessa and Stella McCartney. Thank you so much.
Thank you.